Lonely Knitter podcast. So if you're already a subscriber to my YouTube channel, I have done a few videos about stationery and a few hauls and things since I've been on YouTube. Had a lot of fun. The planner community especially was amazing. It's the reason I first came to YouTube to post videos, and had an amazing time. But I don't have a lot to post. I don't do a lot of the pretty planning that a lot of the others do, and I don't only have one planner that I use now, and I'm not buying tons and tons of stationery, so I haven't had a lot to video about, and it's making me sad because I like to video and I like to talk about stuff, like especially crafty stuff, because I love all the crafts. Anyway, so I thought I might start doing videos on the thing that I do the most, which is knitting. I have been knitting since I was 5 and I am now 27, almost 28, so for a big chunk of my life, and I love it. I think it's an amazing hobby. It's so productive and fun, and yeah, anyway, so a bit about me if you haven't seen any of my previous videos and you don't know anything. My name's Laura, I'm 28, I live on the east coast of England, and when it comes to knitting, I lived in London when I was in university and loved it. There were so many amazing knitting shops, yarn shops and knit nights. I went to a couple of knit nights, at least one a week, and the yarn in like some of the shops, so I went to iKnit London and then their knit night, and then also a knit night that just sort of moved around different pubs and cafes every week, and there was such a range of ages, and both men and women, and just like the best attitudes ever. Everyone was happy to talk to anyone, and I just really got on and loved it. Then I moved home after uni, and there are no, that I know of, knit nights around my area. There are a few in my nearest city, but that's 20 miles away. There's none near Lowestoft, which is where I live, that are in the evening and that might have a few younger people. Now, don't get me wrong, I have no issue whatsoever with older people and getting to know older people, but I have tried a couple of the knit groups that are during the day in my area, and it didn't go well. I kind of pride myself on being able to talk to absolutely anybody, and I'm happy that I want to talk to absolutely anybody, but I just found that no one would talk to me, so I was starting up conversations with people and asking what they were knitting and who they were knitting for, and you know, just asking questions, and no one was talking about that. I was get one word answers and that was it, and I felt really like, well, the last one I went to, I left, I was almost in tears. I was just like, no one wants to talk to me, I just want to knit with other people. And my little girl at the time was very small. I went when she was about 3 months old, and the main reason I went is because I was lonely and I just wanted to talk to other people. But yeah, it didn't work out. They just, I don't know if it's because I had a baby with me, that she was always in a sling on my front, completely quiet, like always asleep, so I can't see that she would have been a bother to anybody. Anyway, I just didn't get on, and it was a shock for me because whilst I was in uni in the summer holidays, I come home and there was a shop about 15 miles away, but it was in a town that I was working a summer job in, and it was a very contemporary yarn shop, so it had a lot of hand-dyed yarns, as well as the standard stuff like the acrylics and the basic, you know, main big company yarns. They had a lot of hand-dyed stuff and indie dyers, and it was an amazing shop, and she had every Wednesday at any time of the day you could just go in and knit with her. That was her knit day rather than like a little group. And yeah, their whole group was lovely, and okay, most of them were at least 30 years older than me, but they were all so friendly and happy to talk to me, and I felt like I was a part of their group. So it was really hard for me to get a totally different response in the ones that were local to me. Anyway, as I said, I've got a little girl. She's now just over a year, and I can't go to a daytime knit group anymore because she wants to run around. She is awake all the time, and she would be a pain, and she would want to play, and she would get bored. So I need an evening knit night. Well, there isn't any, and I would start one, but I don't know anybody else that knits. I know one crocheter, and I'm not sure she'd be up for it, to be honest. So yeah, I am a lonely knitter, knitting on my own at home, craving a bit of knitting company. Been on YouTube. I'd love if anyone has any good recommendations of knitting podcasts. I'm loving the Grocery Girls. That's pretty much all I watch at the moment. I'm catching up on a big chunk of theirs because they are hilarious, like proper hilarious. But other than that, I just read like the Yarn Harlot and stuff. I don't have tons, so I would love any recommendations of chatty knitting podcasts. Anyway, so that's me and the big like intro and the reason that I'm starting videoing about my knitting. Also, if you are here, anybody who used to be a subscriber and is still here, the reason I have gone 2 weeks without a video is because my little girl no longer lets me video during the day. She has this noise, it's something like every time I'm doing something that isn't 100% focused on her. So I do understand, she's very little, she wants a lot of attention, and I have all of the love and the time to give her that attention. I am there, but I work 2 days a week, and I have childcare for those 2 days a week, and then other than that I am full-time childcare for my little girl. So my partner works full-time, and all we have is the weekends, which is our family time. So I wasn't videoing at the weekends because we're spending time together, and I wasn't videoing during the day because my little girl won't let me. So yeah, I have dropped a stitch. Uh-oh. There we go. So it's been hard to get a video done, and I've just had a chat with my other half and said, look, I gotta go video on YouTube. He went, what? I was like, my videos for YouTube, which I told him about last year when I first did a video, and he was like, when have you ever done YouTube? And I was like, right, someone's taking an interest. It's fine, he doesn't. The reason I turned to YouTube is because he isn't crafty, he's not interested, and that is absolutely fine. Anyway, so down to what I'm hoping will be sort of my regular things I chat about. So, I currently only have one WIP, one work in progress. That's weird for me. When I say I've only got one work in progress, what I mean is I have one work in progress that is current. I've got a spare room that is littered with a million half started, half finished, middle of the way through projects that if I'm honest, I am probably never gonna finish. Like, there is a good chance that the needles will be ripped out. Some of the projects are ugly as arse and will probably go in the bin. There's some hideous stuff up there, man. But the rest, you know, things are gonna get ripped out, probably end up going to the charity shop. My grandma might come in and go, oh, I'll finish that. Has happened before. I think she took a shawl from me ages ago. I was like, oh, I don't want this. I'm never gonna knit this. She's like, got it. She's my knitting hero. So whenever I get a really tangled skein of yarn, I'm just like, I'll never knit with this because it's tangled. She is the type to take it and sit there wind it all neatly and then present me with this perfect little ball, and then I'll feel really guilty. Anyway, so I actually only have one work in progress, which is this sock. That is weird. It is just because I've just finished a project, a few projects actually, and I have been a fairly oh my god, monogamous? I have a degree, a writing degree, and I can't get that word. That's bad. Basically, I've only been knitting on one thing recently, fairly consistently, which is odd for me. I would normally switch and chop and change and then not finish half the stuff, but I really wanted a few things, so it got done. I have tons of sock yarns going. When I say tons, not that many compared to some people. I've seen some stashes, man. Like, I'm not on that level. But I've got a few sock yarns that I've wound from either the ball or the skein into a cake, because I have a Swift and a ball winder. And I wound them up when I was pregnant, thinking I'll get all these wound up so I've got a little stack so I can just take one as I go, and you know, I won't have to get a Swift and ball winder out when I've got a newborn. And I just never knit them. I got this obsession with knitting baby clothes, and that was it. Stopped knitting socks for myself, which is really weird for me. Anyway, so now I've decided to work through some of my sock yarn, and one of the balls that I rewound for myself is this cake, which it is coming out gorgeous on camera. If it was this like pink, like, I don't know if this will be like this when I upload the video, if it will show the same, but this is coming out like a pinky purple gorgeous colour. Now if it was like that in real life, I would be all over it. It's actually a little bit lighter and a little bit duller. It comes across really rich and lovely. If it was that colour, I'd be all over it. It's not. It's slightly more faded, nowhere near like that in real life. Oh, that's beautiful. I'd love that. That not so much, but looking at it. So it is just an opal ball. Oh, and I did have the ball band because I was in an amazing habit of carrying my ball bands everywhere in the bag, but it's gone. My little girl has been in and out of my knitting bag, so it's a good chance it could be absolutely anywhere. She could have eaten it, to be honest. So I have no idea what the colourway number is, but they're always really boring colourway numbers anyway. But yeah, so I'm knitting just a straight vanilla sock. I'm not going to go very long in the leg. I don't like what's done here. Now it looks like it's, no it's not, it's, I was going to say from there it looks like a stroke, but it's not, because when you open your hands it's just this big flashy puddle there and there, whereas the other side is a lovely big chunk of puddly bleh, bleh. So it's very flashy, it's not a stripe at all. I'm knitting 60 stitches in the round, I think, on a 2.5mm, I think this is a Knit Pro Zing needle, and I'm magic looping it. Now I didn't learn on magic loop, I learned on DPNs. Love a DPN. Have stabbed myself in the foot, like stood on my knitting, full on inserted a DPN into the sole of my foot before. Put me off slightly. I find that having just the 2 points instead of all the points from a DPN, I only use 3, well 4 because I have one that's going round, but that's a lot of ends. And once you've had one of those ends in the bottom of your foot, I'm just less in love with the spiky DPN. So I like a sharp needle, and once you've had it in your skin, in your flesh, it's less lovely. So this has less ends, and also it's so much easier for pulling in and out of my bag, especially when there's little hands in there as well. I find that this will stay on the cord rather than all falling off all the needles, which has happened a few times. And I've never knit on 2 at a time, double circulars, but magic loop I just find so easy to just switch around all the time. I love it, I love it. So that's what I'm knitting at the moment, and it is my only project, so I have no guilt, which I used to get tons of guilt because there was like a million projects on the go at once. So one project, one sock. I'm not going to do a very long leg because I don't think I like all my socks. I was like a full-on 6-inch, then I'd do my heel, but I'm liking the idea of a shorter sock, so shorter sock it's going to be. Anyway, so I thought I would show you some of the things that I finished. I finished this afternoon, so it has not been blocked, but I love this pattern. I have knit it before, absolutely gorgeous. I've not woven in mittens, and it is the Hitch-Hiker Shawl by Martina Ben, and it's just such an easy pattern. I do have to write it out. I'm not good at the whole positioning. I do have to write it out neatly on a little notebook, and then do my little tallies because it's an 8-row repeat, and I will mess it up if I don't have it all laid out in front of me. But it's just getting warm as well. I've had a really hot weekend and I've just finished this. My partner was like, what are you doing? You finished a scarf. But yeah, I love it. It's knit from King Becky yarn, which is a dyer that I found on Etsy. I bought the yarn over a year ago, so I don't know if she's still out there and still selling, but this is her Pixel yarn, and I did keep the tag for this one. So it says King Becky says knit on it, and it is the Pixel yarn, and it is 100% superwash blue face Leicester wool in a sock weight 4-ply yarn, and it is hand wash or machine wash cold, which I'm not sure I would do. Dry away from sunlight, 400 meters, and it is the Infinity colourway, and it's limited edition, and there's only 2 made, 2 of 2 this skein is. So that is my Hitchhiker by Martina Bem. Love that pattern. I love so many of her patterns. Her Easy pattern is another one I absolutely adore. And this is how much I have left of my 100-gram skein, which I love when you have just a tiny cute little ball left at the end. It was caked up, obviously I wound it into a ball because the cake was all just loose at the end. I wasn't sure I could get another 8-row repeat out of this, so I didn't dare chance it, and I'm glad I didn't because that does feel like too little. And I knit it on my, oh now this is another name I'm going to butcher, always do, my 3.25mm Chia Goose. I'm sure that is wrong, but that's my knitting on. And the reason I cranked it out quite fast is because I've decided I really wanted to knit a catkin, and I needed these needles, and I was like, I'm not pulling it off the needles, I'm going to use that yarn. So that was a skein of sock yarn that was caked up in my spare room, and I got it out to make that. So that's done, and that is living in my Amelia X Joy bag. I got this a year or so ago, maybe more, but I think she might still have this one on her Etsy shop. So she's Amelia X Joy in Etsy, and she's not that expensive. I think they're like a tenner each, and it's a sock sack, and all of her sock sacks have inside a little pocket which I keep a wool needle in, and then toggle to tighten it, and a little like ribbon with a little clasp on the side where I do usually put a stitch marker, though this one doesn't have one on. And my socks that I'm currently working on are living in another Amelia X Joy bag. The carabiner didn't come with it, but I carry my little girl on my back in carrier, and I wear a bum bag on my front with just like the essentials in, and I found that when I looped the handle, the strap of the bag around the bum bag, it twisted and spun and my yarn would get twisted up. But on the ribbon I put a carabiner, and then I attached that to my bum bag, and because it was so close, like right up against me like that, it didn't spin all the way around, so I can happily knit while I'm walking along with that strapped to my side. I look a freak, I know it, don't worry, but I can happily walk along without it spinning and tangling in my arm. So I added that on, and on this one I do have a stitch marker, which is just a little ring that I was given in a swap, I think, on a Ravelry swap. Anyway, so this one is an Amelia X Joy bag, and it is a Star Wars themed bag, and I love it. And I don't know if she still has this one. I know I saw the Alice in Wonderland one, but I'm not sure about this one, but I love it. And again, with all her bags, she puts a little pocket inside, which is where I always keep a wool needle on a bit of yarn. It is a wool needle, it's not an imaginary needle, there we go. Because I lose them like you wouldn't believe, which is actually quite a panic when you have a small child in the house. Like if they're tucked in there, it's fine, and they never seem to get lost from in there. I take it out and put it on the side, and the next thing you know, it's gone. It's usually because the cat's gone like that, which is also a worry. My cat shouldn't be playing with them either. Promise I'm not that responsible, a pet owner or an adult, like parent, person. I'm not that irresponsible, I promise. But I do my best to keep track of them, and now that they're in there, I don't have to go, oh, where's my new wool needle? Oh, where did I last have it? Oh my god, my child hasn't swallowed it. I promise, never happened. So yeah, now that this is empty and my needles are empty, a new project is going in here. I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be socks that's going to go in here, because I have a million pairs of sock needles and stuff, so I might put another pair of socks in here, because these are boring me a little bit, but then I know I'll never finish these if I put a nice pair in here. We'll see, we'll see. But I have a new project that I want to start that I have loved forever. I saw it on the Yarn Harlot blog a long time ago, fell in love with it and wanted to knit it, and I just haven't, I like to buy yarn in person. Just part of the reason that I always, if I see a yarn shop, I'm there, because I like to support smaller companies. I like to be on Etsy. I like to think that I'm supporting a person rather than a big chain, which I know supports lots of people, but you know what I mean. I like to also feel the yarn before I buy it. I haven't got a massive budget, can't buy a lot of stuff, and I want it to be nice stuff that I buy. So I haven't got around to buying the yarn for this project because I couldn't touch it and I couldn't see it. And I've looked in all my local yarn shops and they're all the typical yarn shops of my childhood. There's one in a town near me and there's one in my town, and they are ran by some amazing women who have some amazing knowledge. But they are the older generation who mainly knit with acrylic. And if they do knit with real wool or anything like that, it is always certain brands like Sadar. Now all of the brands have gone out of my brain, but like, and a lot of them have Rowan. There's always Rowan in stock, and I don't mind a bit of Rowan, but I just like stuff that's a bit more, I don't know, luxurious, gorgeous. I've never knit with cashmere. That's something I'd love to do. Maybe a sock yarn that has a little bit of cashmere content. But they never have anything like that in stock. And the one that I went to a knitting group in when I was in uni and back from summer, that's about 15 miles away, shut down about 5 years ago. So I am seriously lacking a local yarn shop that sells anything, you know what I mean, like a skein of gorgeous sock yarn. You're not going to get a skeined up, amazingly soft, hand dyed, or not even hand dyed, but you just, it's going to have an acrylic content probably, or it's, I don't know, you know what I mean, if you've been to like an artisan gorgeous yarn shop and then you've been to a typical British older generation yarn shop, that's what I will call it, because that's all there was when I was little. So they don't have what I wanted basically to make catkin. I run on, can you tell? So this is catkin, and it is on Ravelry. It's by Karina Spencer, and it costs $8.40 in American, and that translates to about £6.18, and it is so pretty. I don't know how well it's going to show up because of the light in here, but it is absolutely beautiful. There's some amazing pictures. So many people have made it in some beautiful, beautiful colours. So it's a shawl, but you can add buttons along one side to keep it shut, and it's so pretty. And the bit that I love the best, I haven't bought the pattern yet. I'm going to buy it pretty much as soon as I'm done videoing, which will be probably before the video goes up on YouTube. But she suggests using Madeline Tosh Merino Light, the Sanguine Griffin, like all this stuff that I don't have and probably couldn't afford anyway, like cheap over here. I would, if I wanted to save up for it, I would, but I wanted to get started as well. So it takes 740 yards and it's gorgeous. And one of the things that I liked in the little blurb about it is that it says that you don't knit with, there's no two colours, so it's a 2-colour shawl, but each row, I'm trying to see where it says it now. The catkin and leaf pattern at the hem are created through the clever use of slipped stitches. There is no two-stranded colourwork knitting in this shawl. Only one colour is worked at any given time, and the only colour changes are striping. So I thought, that sounds lovely. I'd like something relaxing. Knitting is what I do to relax, and I do like the odd challenging thing, but I love that shawl. It looks gorgeous, and I want to be able to knit it without making my head explode. So I've got the yarn for it. So stash enhancement. I ordered from Wool Warehouse. I know, massive company, not the sort of thing I usually like to do, but I really wanted Malabrigo sock yarn because I know I love it, and as I said, I can't squish the stuff. Like the King Becky yarn is so beautiful, the one who made my Hitch-Hiker in is so beautiful, but it's got a little bit of a scratch. I know that's because it's 100% BFL, but it has got a bit of a scratch, and I just bought it on a whim because I was like, it's so pretty. I've actually got 2 more skeins of hers upstairs, but this I know is going to be soft. So it's Malabrigo in Impressionist Sky and Natural. So these are the 2 colours. This one it's coming out very white. It's more of a like a cream. Can't tell because the lighting's so bad because I have to do this at night, so I'm sorry guys. And this one is coming out very royal blue, but in real life it's slightly more denim and not as striking. God, I love how my iPad picks up colour. Like I'd like the colour that my iPad makes and not real life colour. But they are still beautiful. So that's the 2 yarns. You can see which one's fallen out of the skein, and I've tried to reskein and done a really hash job, and the one that's still perfect. But I do like Wool Warehouse because I know big company and I like to order from smaller places, but this had free delivery, and it's free next day delivery, or it was free next day delivery on orders over £25. And these 2 were £14.49 each, full price. But then I had a little Google and there was a 10% off coupon code, so I put that in. It's not valid anymore, so I'm not going to bother mentioning it. But I got both those, and they send them in a bag so they don't all like pulled apart, and yeah, they normally come all neat and tidy. So those, I've been saving them for this video, and now they're going to go on the Swift and ball winder and get caked up so I can get started on catkin hopefully tonight. I'm not 100% sure if that will happen because it's quite late. It's already 9:05 and I've been up since the crack of dawn, and I'm not sure my little girl will go all the way through the night. And I have work tomorrow and I'm on a late shift, so I do want a good night's sleep, can't stay up late. So that's that. I have got a bit more stash enhancement, but this is of a different kind. Now I don't want to get into a great big debate about whether or not acrylic is good. Now I made this cardigan for my little girl, could have buttoned it up, made it look a little bit nicer, from a pattern in my local yarn shop, and it is perfectly good, and it is 100% acrylic, and I do not mind. When it comes to my little girl, she is going to spill a million things down the front of it. I want it to be easily washed. I want to be able to scrub it and not worry about it. So this cardigan is what my little girl has been wearing the last few weeks up until this weekend when it got really hot. It has been through the washing machine, first time by accident, but it worked out so well, I was so happy with it, through the washing machine and the tumble dryer at least 4 times. And I'm thinking I'm pretty happy with it. So acrylic has its place in my life. As I mentioned before, I don't have a massive yarn budget. When I do buy myself nice skeins of yarn, I love it, but I can't afford to kit my little girl out in hand-painted yarns because first of all she grows so fast, and second of all because she will ruin the things and I will be gutted. So my little girl wears acrylic, and it's soft, it's not scratchy, I pick soft yarns, and it's cheap, and so it fits my budget, and it means that I have more money left over to buy nice yarns for me because she is in perfectly adequate acrylic yarns. So I often get Stylecraft, DK weight, like the basic that fills all of my local yarn shops, but I did get some things at Aldi. Last week Aldi were having a create event or something, I think that's what they call it, and they had a load of yarn, and I didn't hear about it until the very end of the week, the Sunday. So I went running over there, and they didn't have much left. They had a bit of beige and a bit of black and a little bit of red, I think, yarn, but it wasn't enough. It was more of an, I think the red was Aran, I'm not sure. So I just bought a couple of things because they're so cheap. £3.49 for this 4-pack of DK weight So Crafty baby yarn in a multi-pink stripe. I know, some people will be going, hideous, hideous, hideous. But it's got a little hole where you can feel it, where no doubt all of the shoppers of Aldi have gone on my yarn before I bought it, but whatever. It doesn't look like a dirty patch, so hopefully everyone had clean hands. But it's so soft. It's that like weird, it's not yarn, it's full on like acrylic. You know what I mean? It's full on fluff there. So I like it personally for my little girl for a jumper, cardigan. I can get at least 2 things out of this, so maybe one for this winter, maybe one for the next, or I don't know, hat and scarf and mittens and a little coat. But I can get a lot out of that. 400 grams for £3.49. Can't go wrong, not when it comes to a 1-year-old. And the other thing I got was this. That is a very accurate representation for once. £3.69. £3.69 for 400 grams of DK weight, double knit. It comes in a petrol blue, they say. Again, that can be something for my little girl. I might just add in like a white stripe or something. I'm thinking about doing another Elizabeth Zimmerman baby surprise jacket for her. And I have a friend who is due with a baby in a couple of months, and it's a little boy, so I might find a nice contrast blue or green and do him a baby surprise out of this as well, so that'll get used. And that's the thing with friends who aren't knitters, who've got babies. I like to find soft acrylic, but I like to use acrylic because they will stick it in the washing machine. I know they will, and I don't want it to get ruined first time. And the last thing that I bought was this £2.99 scissor set, because I don't know why, but my scissors hide, and I don't know how. Like, it's so bizarre. They're gone like that, and I have no idea where they've gone. Funnily enough, sat down to this video, table behind you is piled high of junk and stuff. I need to have a tidy up, and I have been looking for scissors all day. I cut my yarn with a bread knife earlier because I just needed to cut some the King Becky, the Blue Face Esther, and it was really hard on my hand. I was like, I can't break it. So I just came in here and just went with a bread knife. Sat down to do this video. Scissors. I mean, these are my fabric scissors. I don't use these on yarn, but these are yarn scissors. These are other scissors. Don't know how I ended up there. Anyway, so that's everything I've bought recently. I have got a couple of balls of sock yarn from my local yarn shop, but I might be going back for a bit more, possibly, because they've got some new stuff in. So it is like, you know, standard stuff, not Opal, but you know what I mean, pre-done, big company. Yeah, it's nothing like, I can't get anything like Etsy stuff there, but I am going to get some more, so I'll show you that next time. So that's everything that I think I wanted to go on about. Yeah, so that's my first episode of The Lonely Knitter, me on my own in my kitchen chatting about knitting to the little camera on the front of my iPad, except I know I'm not looking at the little camera. I keep looking down at my face because I have no knitting mates. I need knitting mates. So yeah, any recommendations for podcasts? I would love them. Love a video podcast, especially. Any blogs that you think I should read? Let me know, because I would love it. And I think that's everything. I need like one last apology for my face. I've got really sensitive skin on my face, and I wear makeup sometimes in the week, but it flares me up and I get really spotty and really sore and really red, and I have been for the last couple of days. Gross, I know, thanks, first podcast and I'm sitting here telling you that, but so I'm wearing makeup on, look a little bit scary, had a baby, all the luscious thick hair that I had when I was pregnant fell out, and now I'm regrowing. I don't know what, there is no fringe, I haven't had a fringe cut in and I'm growing it out. This is like fresh hair, and it's here as well. Hideous. To start with, I had a bit of a centre part, and I looked like Peter Andre. It was like, you know, mysterious girl Peter Andre. So full on hideous at the moment, but I thought, well, it's real life, innit? I want to come, and if I was going to a knitting group I'd probably go just as scary, so I might as well turn up to my podcast just as scary. So there we go, that's me. I can't promise you that it's going to get any better. So I think that's everything that I was going to say today, and if you have got this far, thank you very much, because I'm almost at 35 minutes and I've got to go because there is a man in the other room, my fiance, not a man, who needs his head shaved. So that's the rest of my evening. So hopefully I'll get to download and print off catkin, maybe wind my yarn, but I can't guarantee it. So yeah, that's everything. Thank you very much for watching. Bye!